Psychopath, sociopath, two labels that carry a heavy weight in our culture. We see them in crime shows, in the news, and in movies where villains are either cold masterminds or hot-headed loose cannons. People use the terms interchangeably, but the truth is they describe two very different ways of being. Both exist under the same clinical umbrella, antisocial personality disorder, or ASPD, but the differences between them tell us something important about human behavior, morality, and even survival. To understand these differences, we need to go back to the roots of the terms. The idea of the psychopath first entered psychology in the 19th century. Doctors noticed there were people who seemed rational, intelligent, and sane, but who committed acts of cruelty without remorse. They called this the mask of sanity. That's the essence of psychopathy, someone who can blend in with society, wear a perfect disguise of normality, but underneath they feel no guilt, no real empathy, no human connection. The term sociopath came later, in the early 20th century, as a way to describe people whose antisocial behavior seemed less like cold calculation and more like a reaction to their environment, society itself shaping them. Where psychopaths are thought to be born with brain differences, sociopaths are more often seen as a product of trauma, neglect, or harsh environments. This isn't always a clear-cut divide, but it helps explain why their behaviors look so different. So, what does a psychopath look like in practice? Imagine someone who never loses their cool. Their pulse doesn't spike during a lie. They can smile while stabbing you in the back figuratively or literally. Brain imaging studies show psychopaths have less activity in the amygdala, the part of the brain that processes fear and empathy. This helps explain why they don't feel guilt the way others do. They're highly manipulative, often charming, and they're capable of building entire lives, careers, relationships, social status while hiding a dark inner world. In fact, research suggests a surprising number of psychopaths don't end up in prison at all. They end up in boardrooms, politics, or any field where charm, ruthlessness, and emotional detachment are rewarded. Now contrast that with a sociopath. A sociopath is more volatile. They feel emotions, anger, jealousy, even attachment, but those emotions come out raw and uncontrolled. They struggle with impulse control, making them more likely to get into fights, commit crimes spontaneously, or explode in anger. While a psychopath could plot a crime for years without flinching, a sociopath might attack someone in a fit of rage without thinking of the consequences. This lack of stability makes them easier to catch, harder to predict, and more visibly destructive in their daily lives. Pop culture gives us plenty of examples. Patrick Bateman from American Psycho embodies the calm, manipulative psychopath. He's successful, charismatic, and terrifyingly detached. Meanwhile, Tommy DeVito from Goodfellas is the archetypal sociopath, easily angered, impulsive, violent, unable to control his temper. Both dangerous, but in very different ways. There's also the question of origins. Psychologists debate whether psychopathy is primarily genetic and inborn wiring of the brain, while sociopathy is more environmental, shaped by abuse, neglect, or social conditions. It's not black and white, but the idea is that a psychopath is born, while a sociopath is made, but here's the reality check. In modern psychiatry, there's no official diagnosis for psychopath or sociopath. Both fall under antisocial personality disorder. The distinction is more cultural and descriptive than medical. Yet it persists because it captures two sides of the same disorder, the ice and the fire. So, what does all this mean for us? It means that when we talk about psychopaths and sociopaths, we're not just talking about villains in movies. We're talking about real differences in how some people's minds work, differences that shape how they manipulate, how they harm, and how they evade detection. The psychopath hides in plain sight, calm and calculating. The sociopath burns bridges in public, impulsive and erratic. One is harder to spot, the other harder to control. And maybe that's why the debate over which one is worse continues. The psychopath scares us because they're invisible. The sociopath scares us because they're unpredictable. In the end, both remind us of something uncomfortable, that beneath the surface of humanity, there are ways of being that break the rules of empathy and morality entirely. They are fire and ice, chaos and control. And the real question we have to ask is, if you had to face one, which would you rather it be?